Horror movies often live or die on the strength of their endings, send an audience home unhappy, and you may well sour the whole film for them. However, it's not uncommon for endings to be changed late in production, perhaps due to test audiences hating the original finale, or studio executives getting cold feet. For this list, there are two rules. The endings in question must have been at least partially filmed, and they must never have been released to the public. So with that in mind, I'm Andrew from What Culture Horror, and here are 10 unreleased horror movie endings fans are demanding to see. Number 10. Susan Lives. Deep Blue Sea. It's relatively well known that Deep Blue Sea had its ending changed due to vocal reactions from test screenings. In the original filmed ending, Dr. Susan McAllister made it to the end credits in one piece, yet test audiences found her character totally unlikable. Test screenings made it clear that viewers saw Susan as far more of an antagonistic character than was intended, given her role in inadvertently causing the genetically engineered sharks of the film. And so, director Renny Harlin conducted a one-day reshoot to have Susan instead be brutally devoured by the final shark in the movie's climax, leaving viewers satisfied that she got her comeuppance for trying to play God. Yet in recent years, there's been a growing desire amongst fans for Warner Brothers to release the original ending, with a petition even being launched, because petitions everywhere these days. Number 9. Gerry becomes a zombie hunting badass in Russia. World War Z. World War Z's third act was almost entirely reshot, with the final version focusing on Gerry Lane as he reaches the World Health Organization facility to pose his theory that zombies won't attack the sick or the dying due to them being unstable hosts. Gerry and the other survivors fight their way through the lab, with Gerry ultimately injecting himself with a curable pathogen in order to prove his theory correct. Gerry is then reunited with his family, the vaccine is distributed to help civilians safely evacuate, and the military finally seems to be dealing with the undead horde. The end. But the theatrical cut finale was far simpler than what the filmmakers originally planned and shot. The scrapped but mostly filmed original climax saw Gerry end up in Moscow, where he was drafted into military service to fight the zombies. Months later, Gerry is a hardened zombie killer, only to learn that his wife Karen has been forced to shack up with a soldier, played by Matthew Fox, who is seen briefly in the theatrical cut, to ensure her safety in a refugee camp. This version would have ended with a defiant Gerry mounting a mission to rescue his wife. With a Moscow set action sequence to comprise roughly 12 minutes of footage, it's clear that a whole lot of movie got tossed out and locked away in Paramount's vaults. Number 8. Chris's Decapitation Nightmare. Friday the 13th Part 3. Friday the 13th Part 3's ending sees final girl Chris seemingly killing Jason with an axe to the head, then falling asleep and having a nightmare of the big guy running towards her, before a decomposed visage of Jason's mother Pamela drags her into the lake. Chris then wakes up and is escorted from Crystal Lake by the police, and that's that. But the movie also lays claim to one of the most famous lost endings in horror history, where Chris falls asleep and dreams of herself being terrorized by Jason, only this time he chops her head off with a machete. This more grisly ending was cut because the filmmakers felt it would be too depressing a note to end the movie on, no matter that Chris's death was merely a dream. But in 2014, after more than 30 years of waiting, some still images from the scene were finally released online, showing off both Chris's brutal demise and the original design for an unmasked Jason Voorhees. Number 7. Muffy dies for real. April Fool's Day. April Fool's Day's infamous ending is nothing if not a smidge polarizing, when it's revealed that none of the characters actually died, and the whole thing was instead an elaborate prank staged by protagonist Muffy, who intends to turn her mansion into a horror-themed resort. But director Fred Walton's original ending actually pinged back around to genuine horror, with Muffy being targeted by a killer for real. That'd be her cousin Skip, who wants to steal her inheritance. Skip is ultimately killed, but Paramount executives nevertheless felt the ending was too bleak, and that's stopping at the initial prank reveal made for a lighter, more entertaining departure point. All the same, that original ending is one of horror's great white whales for longtime fans. Number 6. Erin dies. You're next. Not all cancelled endings necessarily sound good, but sometimes morbid curiosity takes over, and that's absolutely the case with Adam Wingard's terrific You're Next, which memorably ends with hero Erin being shot in the shoulder by a police officer mistaking her for the killer before the cop is accidentally killed by one of Erin's nifty traps. It's a hilarious final gotcha, but Wingard also shot another, decidedly less fun ending, which would have been absolutely miserable. In this ending, Erin would simply be shot in the head by the arriving cop and die. Adam Wingard stated on X that the ending was filmed in its entirety, but never edited into the movie, presumably because he knew in his bones that the trap ending was punchier and just way more darkly fun. Number 5. NEWT is the Predator killer. The Predator. The alternative ending to Shane Black's The Predator would have been the only thing positive about this absolute stinker of a film. I'm sorry, I just hate it. It's a trash film. Anyway, The Predator of course ends with the infamous Predator killer sequence, in which the super weapon is revealed to be a comically over-the-top Iron Man style armored suit. But Black filmed 2 alternate endings, in which the Predator killer was revealed to be both Ellen Ripley and Newt from the Alien franchise, setting up a sequel which would tie the Alien and Predator series together once again, while also retconning Ripley and Newt's deaths in Alien 3. Stunt performer Brianna Watkins portrayed both Ripley and Newt on set, yet for reasons unknown, both endings were tossed out in favour of the goofy CGI armor one. Behind the scenes images of both alternate endings have since been released online, making it abundantly clear that the Newt ending should have been the way to go. For one, Watkins looks great as an adult Newt, and secondly, bringing Ripley back without Sigourney Weaver's involvement, yeah, that's just always a non-starter. Number 4, Dr. Frankenstein dies. Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. Dr. Henry Frankenstein gets the unique distinction of having his planned death scene cut from 2 movies in a row. In the original 1931 Frankenstein, Henry was supposed to die during the film's climax, either from being thrown from the windmill by his monstrous creation, or burning to death inside the windmill along with it. But the climax was ultimately reshot to grant Henry a stay of execution, allowing the film a sunnier ending in which he lives to marry Elizabeth. Sequel Bride of Frankenstein then endeavoured to kill Henry off for keeps, alongside Elizabeth, the monster, the bride, and Dr. Pretorius. But director James Whale decided just 2 weeks before the film's release that Henry and Elizabeth needed to live, and so quickly reshot a happier ending which was spliced into the film mere days before it premiered. Number 3. Rachel doesn't kill Louis. Pet Sematary, 1989. The 1989 adaptation of Stephen King's Pet Sematary ends with Louis Creed ill-advisedly burying his dead wife Rachel in the ancient burial ground in the hope of reanimating her. As in King's novel, Louis' plan works, but the movie deviates from the source material by having a half-rotted Rachel reunite with Louis in their kitchen and stab him to death as the movie cuts to black. Director Mary Lambert has spoken extensively about how the ending was changed at the behest of Paramount Pictures during post-production, who felt that Lambert's original, source-faithful ending was too tame. This ending saw Rachel enter the kitchen to greet Louis, but ended on a more ambiguous note and featured a decidedly less decayed version of Rachel. While the original ending isn't hugely different, it would be closer to King's novel while not ending the movie on a final violent act that's so blatantly studio mandated. Number 2, Mia gets ripped apart. Evil Dead, 2013. Much as Evil Dead's 2013's Mia made for a likeable heroine and more than fitting substitute for Bruce Campbell's Ash, the remake's grim alternate ending sounds hella fun too. In the theatrical cut, Mia defeats her demonic doppelganger and lives to fight another day, but a bleaker, bloodier alternate ending shot by director Fede Alvarez sounds positively insane. Alvarez told Bloody Disgusting that the remake originally ended similar to the very first Evil Dead movie, with Mia being attacked by another demonic entity at the last minute. But in a twist, this version of the ending will go further than the original, with Mia being levitated into the air and exploding like, in his words, a bomb of blood. Yes, a bomb of blood. Alvarez revealed that he cut this ending after original Evil Dead director Sam Raimi suggested Mia deserved to live, given everything she'd just gone through. Number 1, DENISE'S alternate demise, House of a Thousand Corpses. Rob Zombie's skin-crawlingly icky House of a Thousand Corpses ends with the remaining human survivor, Denise, seemingly escaping the murderous Firefly family. But once she flees their compound to the main road, Denise is unknowingly picked up by family patriarch Captain Spaulding. After a moment, the vicious Otis emerges from the car's back seat with a knife before Zombie cuts to Denise, once again back at the Firefly compound, strapped to an operating table and imminently about to be killed by Dr. Satan. But Zombie's film was extensively tinkered with in post-production, with an originally shot version of this ending ultimately being discarded for reasons unknown. The alternate ending played out incredibly similarly, albeit with a few variations. Again, Denise escapes to the main road and is picked up by Spaulding, but this time he's driving a large truck instead of a car, and rather than Otis emerge from the back, it's Spaulding's assistant Ravini who then drags Denise into the back and kills her. So, that's 10 unreleased horror movie endings fans are demanding to see. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, turn those notification bells on, and come and give us a follow on X at What Culture Horror. While you're there, you can find myself at Cultured Left Peg. Most importantly, be sure to have the best possible day. Whether you're doing something or whether you're doing absolutely nothing, I hope it goes really well for you. I've been Andrew Powell from What Culture Horror, and I'll catch you down the road.